Hello again, everyone, and welcome to South Central Los Angeles, Urban Day High School.
And Raymond Lewis, 23, a 6-foot junior, averaging 23 points a game, 32 against Beverly Hills, 13 against Riverside, 30 against Villa Park.
Can you imagine Michael Jordan never playing in the NBA? Can you imagine Magic Johnson never playing in the NBA?
Here again is Lewis. 4 for Lewis, and it's 6-2 for Day.
I was watching this painter paint this Van Gogh. That's why I guess I can sit here 40 years later and talk about Raymond Lewis. That's why you don't forget.
They say Raymond Lewis is the baddest dude you've ever seen, you know.
Here's a guy that made it to the first round of the NBA draft.
And never played a game in the NBA. Perhaps the greatest pure shooter in the history of basketball in this country.
17-footer, it clicked.
He was one of the first to be held out of the league because he refused to take less than what he was worth.
He was blackballed, so that's what happened.
Raymond was once-in-a-generation kind of talent. He's one of those guys that come along blazing bright. His star was so bright and so intense. And then to not allow that to be exhibited and to be displayed, man, that was heartbreaking.
The real question is, 50 years later, who is Raymond Lewis? Who was this guy?
He was already the legend that he is.
Ray Lewis, I guess the thing everybody's most interested in is your shooting ability. How did you develop it?
Well, I just practice a lot, that's all.
Well, when did you start off? I mean, when you were a small kid, with something in the backyard, maybe?
Yeah, I played in my back. I grew up in Watts, as you know,
Basketball in Los Angeles, in Watts, South Central, and Compton. It's what everybody wanted to do. You played basketball because you wanted to be the best, because you wanted to go to college.
Played all day long on Saturdays and Sundays, and probably played too much in the evening where I didn't do my homework.
As a youngster growing up in Watts, it was a great experience. Although we had the Watts riots, as a youngster, you're kind of naive to, what's really going on.
And I had a basketball goal in the backyard, which my father put up. And me and my cousin, we practiced back there a lot, a whole lot. Yeah.
Raymond and I basically played basketball every day, 3 times a day.
I do remember this house. My dad grew up here after his parents divorced. There was a basketball courts back here. This was the barbershop that his grandfather cut hair out of.
My grandfather put up a light in the back because Raymond would be shooting in the dark. So he put the light up so, he'd be able to see.
His grandparents, they were the first group of affluent Black people that moved here and owned property, owned liquor stores. Growing up, he had a bunch of cousins. They went to church.
If you ever watched the movie Soul Food, that was our family. They could have took a picture and put us all there. And if we wasn't there, somebody was calling.
First time I heard of Raymond Lewis, I was in junior high school.
We heard about Raymond. We heard about this boy. And they would call him Raymond, they would call him Ray Lou.
And they used to talk about this kid from Watts that no one could stop.
Man, Ray Lou can go, man. Ray Lou is good. We who is this cat, Ray Lou?
There was a coach. His name was Caldwell Black. He introduced us to team game.
Basketball was my life. I'm running a pro league in my gym at night.
Raymond was a product of Caldwell Black. All of us were a product of Caldwell Black. He coached kids in the city schools and became a magnet for the special guys who wanted to play some ball.
So I kept my league going, I kept my ball players playing, and then I had the pros playing. Had everybody in town playing this night league basketball. Raymond began to mimic all my ball players in my league. He loved the ball players. He loved the ball players.
Did you pat on yourself after anybody in your early days, or do you now?
Well, right now after Charlie Scott, but like, well, you know, it's just just after Charlie Scott. That's all.
Why did you choose Charlie?
I mean, I just like the way he patterns himself.
He getting better and better.
Caldwell had a tournament, the Drew League tournament. It was the biggest tournament in the city. And we ended up in the championship game. And we were actually winning. And they turned this guy loose.
And he came down, he was between his legs, behind the back, between his legs, behind the back, and pulled up from 30 feet. Boom! I'd never seen anything like it before. Here I am, a 13-year-old kid, and I'm like, is he a Harlem Globetrotter player or what?
And this guy must have made like 10 straight baskets and won the game.
So then the Raymond story starts.
In the following year, after we had graduated junior high school, we end up at Verbum Day.
See, Verbum Day High School was sort of an experiment. Right after the Watts riot, they put this fine little private school run by the Jesuits right in the middle of Watts with the specific mission of educating underprivileged minority boys.
For the most part, I mean, people were trying to make amends to some of the horrors that had happened. So it was, I think that was the beginning of a bridging, I should say, of racial equality or at least acceptance, you know, during that period of time.
In fact, this last year of our graduating class, 75% went on to college, which we're very happy with.
And they wanted to build, as most Catholic schools do, a fine athletic program. The basketball team started that.
We started out at Verbum Day playing as sophomores for the varsity team. It was him and Bobby Walters and myself, Randy and Dwight.
Nobody was quicker, but it was that ball handling. I mean, how are you going to guard somebody that can move as if they didn't have the ball?
Raymond doing stuff back in the 70s that they're doing today. He used to come down with this move. He said, Dwight, watch this move. I thought about this move. He'll come down on you and he'll throw the ball over here and bring it back. No one was doing that. Both hands. Now they call it the crossover. He was doing that back in high school.
I recall his sophomore year at Verbum Day. I was amazed at what I was witnessing.
And that's when they start cooking. They go 27-2.
In 1969, played at Catella High School. It was my senior year. We played in a 2A championship. It was one of the greatest games ever. Both teams full court press. The whole game. It was both teams. I mean, it was like, get on it.
And it was about, could they stop us or not? They couldn't stop Raymond. They couldn't stop us.
He was an incredible player. I mean, he wasn't just a scorer. He wasn't just a passer. He was a team player, and he helped everybody else get better.
And we won the championship.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I mean, those days, I cherish those days. That was just the beginning for us then.
I did not know that, that we wasn't playing the best teams, in Southern California when we was a 2A. I'm thinking we playing against the best schools there was. So I was constantly playing in the George, like, hey, man, we're not playing, who's Centennial and who's Compton? Who's Larry Hollifield and Dwight Taylor, And when are we gonna play these guys? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be playing against, these little small guys, So, so he said, okay, Raymond, before you graduate, we're gonna play the 4A,
We were known that we were coming after another championship, and I guess they tried to put us in a higher division where the competition would be a little better for us, right? They moved us up to 3A.
14 rebounds per game, pulls that one down. Into forecourt, Raymond Lewis. Tried by the Rancho Alamitos coach, Pat Adams, is the finest high school guard I've ever seen. The tip no good. It comes now on the carom to Raymond Lewis, and Lewis has the first two of the afternoon.
Well, the first time I saw Raymond Lewis trying to make a little extra money refereeing some games. I was a college athlete myself.
Raymond Lewis, 17-footer, it clicks.
I said, I just saw this guy that was like the best basketball player I've ever seen.
Raymond Lewis trying to put a move on.
And for him to get this good, he must have started practicing from the time he was 3 years old.
63-53, Verbum Day. And now Verbum Day gets two more as Raymond Lewis gets his 20th.
We did get to a point when we played one particular tournament in Inglewood, and we did lose a game from a lot of controversial calls.
Okay, there's situations that I think your viewers should know that what Verbum Day went through in the civil rights movement in the 60s. Verbum Day is like an all-boy black school. It was obvious they didn't want us to win. I mean, every game we went into, we played against 7 people, 5 and 2 refs.
But during that Christmas tournament, we got 33 fouls called against us versus 3.
It was really lopsided. Coach George McCorn had took us off the court.
And next thing I knew, George said, let's go. So we just walked off the court.
And later he got suspended.
And that's how Caldwell Black came into the picture.
There's Caldwell Black. Everything's gone his way so far. We've played 1 minute and 46 seconds.
And to us, that was just like, oh man, Santa Claus had came to town.
Teammate Lewis, 3-on-1. Shiver.
Mr. Black took over the team at mid-season, and Verbum Day has a freelance offense this team loves to run.
Verbum Day this year set a CIF record for one game with 134 points.
The action is fast and furious, Russ. Both teams are trading baskets.
Jumper's good from the outside by Lewis.
I had one rule. If you steal that ball, you can shoot it. I don't care if you turn the flip. I don't care what you did. You can shoot it. You understand? They ain't miss no layups. Once they steal that ball, they're gonna go. That's the prettiest thing you want to see.
Raymond was a star, man. Raymond was such a star at 15 years old that they were asking for his autograph 15 years old, 16 years old. And so he came up out of that environment where Raymond knew, you know what, I know I'm special.
No one was hotter than Raymond Lewis. From his Verbum Day days, he was the person everybody was watching. He was a neighborhood star. Even though you weren't from Watts, you embraced Watts. Anything that happened in Watts, you took pride in.
Lewis, number 23, got it all started. He led the Verbum Day attack.
Well, I had finished organizing the Olympic Project for Human Rights and was writing my dissertation here in San Jose, and I heard about this kid who was tearing up the Southland by scoring these phenomenal number of points. Having been a basketball player myself, I knew that you just didn't roll into that, and you most certainly didn't roll into it consistently, time after time after time.
We have not lacked for excitement or action. Behind the back dribble by Lewis. 1 minute to go. There's the gun. It's all over. Verbum Day has won its 25th game, defeating Rancho Alamitos 94-75.
Caldwell Black, congratulations on this victory and getting into the finals of the CIF 3A final. What'd you think of your team's performance today?
They went all the way for me. They went all the way. That's all I can say.
And Verbum Day wanting the net.
Raymond was MVP. Conversation about him potentially becoming a pro started swarming around about the end of our junior year. We knew we were good because we were going around the city beating everybody in pickup. That's what ball players did over the summer, looking for the next tough game.
We go to Crenshaw, Fremont, Jeff, all around the city, playing against all the top players. No one could beat us.
we would always go to El Camino College. And people like Tarkanian and a host of other coaches would actually show up at the gym in the summer to watch Raymond play.
In UCLA, I think Wooden did make some contact with him at some point.
I know he, at one point, played against Henry Bibby, when he was still in high school, and lit him up.
We would go to 109th Street gym early in the morning and leave there and then go to Lewis Park. And then I get to play against Raymond Lewis to try to say, this is gonna be my day, I'm gonna beat him. You're not gonna beat him one-on-one. Didn't happen.
I just like to do what I have to do out here to win. I mean, that's the main thing out here to do is win.
Not only was he good, he made people better, around him better. So then therefore, they was blowing everybody out. They had to continue to raise Verbum Day up to the next level. Before Raymond left, they was competing with all the big boys.
We expected to win.
No question, Raymond was the premier player. Not only at Verbum Day, but in the country, averaging 30, with magical ball handling.
Now, people still today talk about this game. Our whole focus was how to shut down Raymond Lewis.
Raymond always looked ahead to where he was going, not so much as where he was at right then. He looked ahead to college and the pro. So it was a matter of taking care of business and winning the championships so that everything would take the proper steps to where he wanted to go.
In 1971, we played against Crescenta Valley at the Los Angeles Sports Arena. That was a big game. They were like ranked number 2 in the state, and we was ranked number 1.
Both programs were undefeated. We were 29-0 going into that game. We thought we were focused and was concentrating, but I think we were somewhat in awe of them. And we didn't talk about it at the time, but I think we knew we'd come up against some pretty talented players.
Raymond hit jumpers all day long on the other side.
Raymond was MVP again, undisputed.
You led your high school to 3 CIF titles. How many schools came after you?
Around 200.
Started hearing about colleges that were interested in Raymond.
I first met Raymond probably after the season of his senior year, after the season.
Bob Miller, along with Jerry Tarkanian, were recruiting us. They were both after Raymond, primarily.
Jerry Tarkanian came down to Verbum Day quite a bit. Him and Bob Miller, they were like a fixture there.
I've seen him since he's been in the 10th grade in high school, and as you know, he was the CIF Player of the Year for 3 years in Southern California, which is as good as basketball as there is in the country in high school.
I knew him when he was still in high school. The legend started magnified itself. There was this kid, and I had just gotten involved in basketball. I had an All-American game that I had started. So I'm on the West Coast, and I hear, Tarkanian, who was building a powerhouse at Long Beach State, was recruiting this phenom.
He used to come over to our gym, play with us, leave school. He'd come over and play with our guys. He destroyed Ernie House. I never saw anybody better than him. He was coming with us.
Raymond had a 70 or 71 GTX, sort of a muscle car. And Bob Miller and Cal State had put headers in the engine. Tarkanian and Long Beach State put racing slicks and Krager wheels on the same car. That's how heavy the recruiting was.
I had told Raymond I wanted him to go to UCLA or Notre Dame. It was my thought for him. He ends up, I look in the paper, he done signed with Long Beach State. I said, Long Beach State?
That was before Bob Miller dropped the Corvette on the scene.
Brand new, spanking brand new red jet. Let me tell you, that car had to cost big time bucks.
He actually ended up with a car, yeah, I don't know. To this day, I know where the car came from, but how the car got there, I don't know. It was a Corvette, and he drove it around. He drove it down to Long Beach and drove it right by the Long Beach people who had shown him his new car.
He portrayed Mr. Tarkanian and went to LA State. Raymond liked the Corvette better than he liked the GTX.
I mean, the rumors is all through the gym that Raymond Lewis got $100,000 cash. Raymond Lewis he got signed by Nike, and then he got a Corvette. And this was just rumors until he pulled up at Ludus Park for the Summer League game against us in the Corvette.
I guess it confuses a lot of people that a pure shooter like yourself, a great ball player, came to Cal State LA. Why don't you explain to us why you did?
Why you came to
Cal State LA?
Well, mainly because of Caldwell Black. He was my junior high school coach, and he told me that he was gonna have a head coaching job over here. And he didn't get it. He went to Cal Poly for Pomona, but I was gonna follow him over there, but I just like it here a little bit better.
I got a phone call from Raymond Lewis, and he wanted to come because he wanted to try out for the ABA. I think I just helped some kids get ABA contracts. One being Mickey Davis, who went to the Pittsburgh Condors out of Duquesne University. The other being the great George Gervin. Well, after he got let loose at, Eastern Michigan. And I had known Raymond through that little period of time in the high school recruiting. I bought him an airplane ticket. I brought him to Pittsburgh, and I arranged for a workout with Louis Carnesecca and the Long Island Nets, I think they were called, in the ABA. And we went to Pitt Fieldhouse, and a friend of mine, Tim Gergerich, was there, and he arranged for the Pitt players to play against Raymond Lewis. And there was Louis and Johnny Kress, his assistant, sitting in the stands watching him. And he was unbelievable.
Because Raymond told me, man, I could have went straight from high school to the ABA out of high school. And the team that was interested in him was the Pittsburgh Pipers. But he said, I don't want to play for Pittsburgh because they were a losing team. And he says, LA State, man, gave me a better package deal.
Raymond told something, he said, Baby George, he always called me Baby George. He said, Baby George, it's NBA or nothing.
When he left, they borrowed $300 from my brother, put a note on the refrigerator, and said, thanks for everything, Sonny. We're going back to LA, I'll call you.
The year I became the head coach, Raymond's senior year in high school, we were Division II. The year I took over, we became Division I. I knew he wasn't going to stay in school, but it was worth the chance to have Raymond play with us, with the potential of what he could bring us and what he could bring the program for the future, and the excitement that he would bring to the faculty and the students and the alumni of LA State.
It all started in 1969 when Bob Miller was appointed head basketball coach, donated $9,000 of his own money to the school's tiny athletic scholarship fund. It was here at Verbum Day High School in Watts that Miller successfully recruited Raymond Lewis, gloriously gifted player, along with Adrian Shivers and Thomas Moore. The next year, he snared Dwight Slaughter, one of the nation's most coveted prep stars.
We said, if you come in, we'll bring some of your friends in with you.
I mean, I like it over here. Like I said, it's all right. I mean, I got my friends over here, like Adrian Shivers, he went to the same high school I went to, Thomas Moore.
I ended up going to Cal State Los Angeles because my coach, which was Raymond Lewis, told me to come. I was there, Randy was there, Thomas Moore was there, and Shiver was there. And it was like an insane asylum at LA State. I mean, you talking about crooked activity. Everything was crooked at Los Angeles State.
What did Coach Miller tell you to do?
Well, basically, he says we didn't have to go to school. Just enroll in these classes, these dummy classes or whatever, and not attend. You know, the teachers will take care of it for us. Just stay healthy enough to play basketball.
All they wanted was a bunch of black guys that can jump and run, and they were not trying to educate you, not one bit. Didn't have to go to school. I was on the dean list.
I said, this school is simply out of control. There are no guidelines, no rules, no regulations.
There was a regular amount of money that Raymond was getting every month to be at the school, and it was passed through me. Walk to the car, look in there, say, okay. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. To a guy, you know he's gonna have millions one day, right? You know, so.
That was a widespread practice, and I never really blamed the athlete because for the most part, that is all that most of them got out of it. 99% of them never got a degree, never got a pro contract, and ended up right back in the communities that they came out of.
Raymond was put in a room right next door to me. I was a resident assistant at, I think it was called Mariana Village Apartments. He arrived and it was 24/7 party. I mean, it was round the clock.
We partied too hard. We had fun too much. We just boisterous, loud, crazy. We were young, coming from the inner city.
He didn't have to ride on the bus with the rest of the team. He would drive his vet to the game. And he parked it wherever he wanted. He had so many parking tickets you wouldn't believe. I bet you he had 50 parking tickets a month. He didn't care. Somebody was paying him. No, you could tell he was special.
His experience at Cal State Los Angeles, in my opinion, was largely responsible for the tragedy that became the Raymond Lewis story.
He wasn't a student. Raymond didn't care about going to school. He was never going to get his degree. He said outright, I don't think I'll go back to school. I'll be here as short as I can and try to sign. And that was one of the reasons we said, if you come to LA State, we'll push you as our #1 pro and see to get you in the pro as soon as you can.
So we went out and played ball.
How about in the publicity town of Los Angeles, you're competing against a legend in UCLA. Do you find yourself getting as much attention as you think you deserve?
Yeah, yes, I do. I mean, I don't like a lot of publicity anyway.
It's sort of incredible, but in a town that plays home to such powers as UCLA and USC, 19-year-old Raymond Lewis just might be the most exciting player on a Los Angeles City basketball court.
So what happens? We go to Cal State LA, we play freshman ball. Raymond leads the nation in scoring again.
We had people on campus that were coming to freshman games that had never come to our varsity games prior to that.
All I did was just throw out the ball and sit back and watch the show. You know, I was smart enough to figure that out.
The danger among most great shooters, I guess, is that they're selfish ball players. They put it up every opportunity. Have you come across that charge?
No, I don't. I mean, like, I pass off quite a bit, you know. At least I try to. I mean, but this team, they want me to shoot. You know, every time I get it, they want me to shoot. So, you know, I just do what everybody else want me to do.
They beat everything. When we're playing, I think, Trobovich, Myers, and that freshman group from UCLA one year, he just takes over the game.
He's a black. He beat UCLA.
How about the team's offense? How'd you characterize that?
It's just like when I come down, if you know, they move out to the side, then I just take my man.
I don't remember if anybody's mentioned the 73 points that he got against Santa Barbara.
So our game when he scored 73. Yeah, I went to that game.
Santa Barbara was the last game of the year, and prior to the game, I told Raymond, I said, if you score 70 points, you're going to wind up averaging 40 for the season. Well, Raymond kind of shrugged it off. All right.
It's kind of like the storybook. The game's about ready to start, and LA State has 4 players on the floor. And Ray comes around the corner, and he has his tennis shoes under his arm.
And he was famous for just walking into a gym without any warm-up, and he would change shoes, and then he would just jump into the game.
And he sits in one end of the court, and they actually threw the ball up because they had 5 people on the floor. Jump ball, they get the ball. Raymond ties his shoes, gets the ball, dribbles down, and shoots from 30 and makes it. At that point, I knew we were in for a very, very long night. He had 40 shots, 30 for 40.
I know his hand had to get tired, but he just kept shooting them, man. He just kept shooting them.
At that time, Cal State was the place to be on game night. It was crazy, and Raymond did not disappoint.
Everywhere we went, they had some little scheme to cut him down and stop him, and he still led the nation in scoring the whole year.
You're only a sophomore, but you're leading the nation in scoring. Have you surprised yourself a little bit?
A little bit, just a little bit, you know. Because like I averaged 39 last year, I felt that the competition wasn't going to be greater than it was last year.
When we come into town, it was like, okay, it's not Cal State LA that's here, it's Raymond Lewis is coming to town. Everybody wants to come out and see the best scorer in the nation.
The first time I saw Raymond Lewis play was at Northern Illinois University. I was the general manager of the Chicago Bulls at the time. We had heard a lot about this Raymond Lewis guy. And sure enough, they came into the Midwest to play. I remember driving out to DeKalb, and we saw the great Raymond Lewis. And he was memorable that night. He put on an offensive show. He never met a shot he didn't like. Never met a shot he didn't take.
I did see the Bird Everett and Raymond Lewis play at Cal State LA. I was at that game.
Had the sports arena packed. We had more people in the sports arena than they'd seen forever.
It was an absolute shootout. You know, Raymond had every move, every shot that I've ever seen today, he had in those days already.
Who would you say is the best club you guys will face this year?
Probably Long Beach. It'd have to be.
Coach Tarkanian, a big game coming up for you. What do you expect from them?
Well, right now we're naturally very pleased with 4 more games to play. This weekend we're going to play Cal State over there Friday night.
I can remember the anticipation of the Cal State, game with Long Beach. The town was talking about it, and it was really Raymond against Tarkanian. It was Raymond. It wasn't Cal State, LA. It was Raymond Lewis. Let's put everything in this picture.
They talking about the Long Beach State game?
Yeah, well, lucky for me, I got a good view of the game. I was sitting right on the bench, right up close.
They were hanging on the staircases, on all 4 staircases, standing on every step, 4 deep to fill up the gym.
I mean, this gym, it's an old gym, 3,000 seats, I guess. I have no idea, but it was very cramped, hot as hell. And Tark had, Poindexter and, Eddie Ratliff. I mean, damn, these guys were great. I really thought that Tarkanian would stop him.
David versus Goliath, and it was Raymond versus Goliath, and, we know how that story ended.
Well, I mean, the game was close. It was going back and forth. It was nick and tuck. And Raymond was doing what Raymond do. He was coming out and just rising on people.
He had one of his ballistic games. I mean, one that everybody talks about. He was just, unconscious.
It went back and forth. It was one of those games that the announcer was standing on top of the table going crazy.
all of a sudden, the game was coming down the line, and who you wanted with the ball in your hand? You wanted Ray Lewis.
Don't be State played the zone. Only shot available was in the corner.
He was falling out of bounds at the corner.
And he just rose up.
Falling away and shot.
Hit that shot, the break out of the stand, kind of lost him because he was in the stands.
The game against Tarkanian was one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my life. As time was taking me through my life, I've seen a lot of those games. But that night, on that floor, Raymond Lewis was as good as any basketball player that ever played for who he was playing for and who he was playing against.
Everybody knew Raymond was a sure shot. I mean, everybody knew Raymond was going to get drafted. He was going to be an NBA player.
He knew, and we knew, he was going pro because there was serious talk about it. He had all kind of agents. I mean, them dudes was calling the phone at night. Waking us up, trying to get to Raymond on the phone.
But every time Raymond signed with somebody, other agents were coming in and giving him things and offering him things, promising him things that if you go with me, we can do this for you. We can get this done better for you.
So Raymond would drive home and, okay, man, what you doing in that Cadillac? He had a brand new white Cadillac. Then he drives in with the Di Tommaso Pantera. Then he says, Adrian, why don't you drive this car? And Michael, you drive that one so I can drive this. I said, Raymond, come on, man. What I'm gonna do in the Cadillac? But I did drive the van a little bit. You know what I mean?
A guy like Raymond's mind, with those kinds of skills, with the money that was passing around, basketball is about the money. That's a particular mindset that you develop under those circumstances. Basketball is about the money. If it's about the money in college, then how much more about the money can it be at the pro level?
Philadelphia's had a tradition of great basketball. It was one of the founding cities of the NBA. Then Philadelphia basketball fortunes went from top to bottom. 1971-72 was the lowest ebb of any team in the history of the NBA. The Sixers won just 9 games. But the 76er management decided to fight. They hired Gene Shue, a coach with a history of turning weak teams into contenders.
You realize, man, I'm in about the same position that you are, in that I'm kind of starting out in a rookie position with this club, same as you people.
Honestly, I didn't know a whole lot about Raymond Lewis. You know, maybe I heard that he was, a fantastic player, in the LA area, really a great high school player. But other than that, I didn't know anything about background or really how good he was.
When Raymond got drafted, we were all very excited about, having our cousin drafted in the first round, something that he had worked for all his life.
The draft takes place. Philadelphia had an extra pick. That year, they took Doug Collins with the first pick, and then late first round, they took Raymond Lewis.
He's consensus All-American and Olympic star Doug Collins.
I think a lot of folks knew who Doug was. One, he was the #1 draft choice that year, but he was also the fellow that was shooting the free throws at the end of the ball game in the '72 Olympics.
That Olympic footage really made Doug a national star.
And so I think that gave him some notoriety, if you will.
I knew his agent well, Herb Rudoy in Chicago, and he negotiates a very strong deal for Doug, as you would expect for the first pick in the draft.
Doug was making, the way I understood it, about $250 a year for 4 years, which was going to be $1 million contract.
Raymond, coming in at the late first round, gets a deal commensurate with where he was drafted.
So Raymond thought he had a legit contract, a good contract. He was happy. You know, think about it. Here, a kid from South Central finally get his dream to go to the NBA, got a contract, get drafted. You know, he heard these numbers that sound like great numbers. So he signed.
From what I understand, he went and negotiated the contract by himself, and he signed a bad deal.
Numbers of agents stepped up and said, I'm representing Raymond Lewis. I'm representing Raymond Lewis. No, I'm representing Raymond Lewis. And then apparently he ended up representing himself.
My cousin was a stubborn individual. And so the trust factor came into play. And that's why he proceeded to go to Philadelphia without representation.
Contract was handled strictly by Don Desjardins, the general manager. Immediately, there were problems with the contract.
From what I understand, it was only a 1-year guarantee, and most of it all was deferred, like 25 years. I mean, it was a garbage contract.
Raymond was supposed to be getting like 45 his rookie year, and the next year 65, but only 1 year was guaranteed, whereas Doug Collins was 4 years guaranteed.
It was garbage. And Gene Shue knew it, and all the other people knew it. And I guarantee you, when they left after signing Raymond, they probably went back there in their room and got them a cigar and started laughing.
But when I get there, you talking now $45,000, $50,000 for 1 year. And then the second year, I have to make the team. You tell me that that's fair to leave school for when I'm getting that much money. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I'm getting basically that much money when I was at Cal State Los Angeles.
In his mind, he felt that he was better than Doug Collins. It was a lot different in those days. He wasn't going to make near the money as Doug Collins was. And it seemed like there was some professional jealousy there.
They took advantage of him. They knew what they was doing. They knew that those numbers was garbage. They could pretend like they won't. If they thought he wasn't good enough, why did they sign him? They knew what they had.
And Raymond, without representation, without an attorney, told the 76ers organization that he was better than Doug Collins. And if Doug Collins was getting that, he should be getting that, if not more. And they basically said, prove it. Just prove it, and we'll tear your contract up. And Raymond basically said, that's all I need to hear.
After he got drafted, he went to Philly, and I went with him.
Summer at Ursinus College near Valley Forge, Pennsylvania is normally very quiet. Then late in June, the tranquility is shattered as the Philadelphia 76ers hold rookie camp here.
Where are you guys from?
Illinois, Bradley University.
Rookies, free agents, semi-pro players, each one dreaming of the money, the fame, the prestige that comes with being a star in the NBA.
I think everybody knew that going up there, that the Sixers the prior year, I think that they were, 9-73, set all kinds of records, not the kind you would want. They weren't afraid, being the management, the Sixers weren't afraid to clean house. They were looking for people that could come in and hopefully win more games than 9 games that season.
Rodney Freeman, a 6'7" forward from Vanderbilt University, was drafted on the 11th round. The odds against his making the team are about 100-1.
I don't think they cared much about who you were, where you came from, how you put your britches on. They just wanted somebody that knew how to play ball and that could take instruction from the new coach that year, which was Gene Shue.
What I'm looking for in a basketball player is something that might surprise you. There have been very few basketball players that I've ever seen that couldn't go out and shoot the basketball. But I think shooting is an instinctive thing with most basketball players. I'm looking for players who are dedicated to playing the difficult part of the game. And the difficult part of the game would be playing the tough defense.
So it's time for practice. He like walk downstairs, walk down the steps, walk on the floor. So me and Bob said, man, he finna light these brothers up. They just don't know what they about to see. Jump ball. I think he hit the first 6 jumpers off the dribble. Whoop, 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 whoop on Doug Collins. Wop, wop, wop. Left him standing way over there. He over here. He shook him. He's standing over there. He wide open. Whoop.
He said, George, he said, I went there and the whole thing is about Doug Collins. It was a showcase for him. And he said I lit him up. I had 50 on me halftime.
In front of all the media, all the scouts, everybody saw it. He outplayed Doug Collins, their star player, the #1 pick in the draft. Raymond destroyed him, I'm sorry to say.
When they played together, Raymond outplayed Doug, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, Doug was a great player. He could play, but he was no match for Raymond.
He just happened to have one of those games. He was making everything. I mean, he had great talent.
Those papers really, they really smashed Doug about Raymond killing him like that. I can't say that we were surprised that Raymond could do it, but it actually got done in front of enough people who could really see it.
Philadelphia writers they weren't very good writers.
When the scrimmage was a break, he come back up on the stand to me and Bob and say, man, they gonna give me some more money, man. They gotta give me some more money, man.
Said the next day, he was 21 for 25 after 3 quarters. And he said, with free throws, everything, he said he had like 70 after 3 quarters, and Gene Shue called the scrimmage off.
They said they shut the whole thing down. They said they shut it down.
Coach Gene Shue closed the practices to the media because the media was writing about how good he was, better than Doug Collins.
It was supposed to be a come-out party for Doug, and Raymond blew the party up.
It wasn't exactly like that. No, I wasn't. I was never the type of coach that would try to protect your first-round pick. If some guy's just eating in for lunch, I mean, that would never happen.
For most rookies, the next stop was home. But for the 10 survivors, including Rodney Freeman, number 54, it was Buffalo, and the games against the Ernie DiGregorio-led Buffalo Brave rookies.
And it was those 10 players that they ended up taking up to Buffalo, played a game up in Buffalo against the Buffalo Braves, and their heralded player there was Ernie DiGregorio out of Providence. Doug didn't score as well as I think that people had hoped he would, and I know that Raymond didn't score as well as I think that folks thought he would up at Buffalo. I think both performed better when they came down to Cherry Hill to play down there. And I think Doug scored, up in the upper 20s maybe. And then Raymond also was low 20s, something like that. So I think that they performed the way that people thought they probably should have during the first game.
You have to understand, the stubbornness came because he thought he was better than DeGregorio and Collins. That's simple. Anybody who wants to be honest about this, Raymond thought he was better than Doug Collins and Ernie DiGregorio. He's 2 peers, but that's what it was about. Personal. Raymond refused to accept anyone was better than him.
Well, with Raymond, everything came down to pride. And he had confidence in his game. He displayed his abilities. He felt that, management in good faith should have renegotiated the contract after witnessing that he was a better player.
What he said was, you guys took advantage of me. I didn't have no agent. Let's tear up this contract and let's renegotiate. I'm not playing unless I get more money.
He got a little salty.
Raymond said right there, he said, you gonna give him this and you gonna give me this? Oh no, we're gonna renegotiate the contract.
I have no idea why he called me. What Raymond described to me, to make this clear, was, I'm better than these people. That's what he said. What was about to happen, I had no idea what was going to happen. I never thought he'd do what he did. I mean, I understood after he did it why he did it, because that's who Raymond is.
When we came back for veterans camp, he wasn't putting out and playing the way that I knew he could play. He had a don't give a damn attitude kind of.
Management wasn't willing to sit down with him. It was a binding contract, and they weren't going to renegotiate.
They didn't want to give him a new contract, so no Raymond Lewis. I'm not showing up.
It was a series of missed practices, not showing up, and at the time it was a constant problem. His first year with the 76ers was a complete disaster.
So it got to the point, they said, well, we're going to suspend you. So they suspended him for the first year with no pay.
It's the city of brotherly love. No love was shown to Raymond in Philadelphia.
Now the 76ers. And number 28, Rod Raymond.
You know, regarding people asking, so where's Raymond? We may have asked that question, but the train's moving. I mean, it's going down the tracks, and you're either on it, you're off of it.
When they told me they was putting me on waivers, I was kind of ticked off, and I didn't want to have nothing to do with Philadelphia. You know, I knew I was good enough to be on that team, and they knew it. And I'm sure Raymond felt the same way. So anyway, I came back to Chicago. And me and Raymond, we said goodbye. I didn't hear no more from Raymond. Or I didn't hear no more about it.
I had watched him on numerous occasions play in the Pro Summer League. We'd get there early, and invariably somebody would say, there he is. He's up in the stands. We looked up in the stands, and Raymond had these shades on. I remember him sitting like up at the second level, looking over his shades, looking at the game. There he is, and we were just looking at, man, that's Raymond Lewis. There he is right there. And then he'd come out on the court and get 50, 60 points in the Pro Summer League.
There was a rawness about him that he knew. I mean, he looked at everybody kind of like, what?
He was cocky, and I didn't like him. He was cocky, and of course, I was well-seasoned, had the experience, and I was physically a lot more tougher than he was. I recall him getting about 40 points on me, and I didn't like that.
He tried to go play at other teams while he was still under contract with the 76ers. I think he went to Utah Star.
Nobody is seated in the building. We go now to Beatty. Now to Butler. Butler with a driving layup. He scores with 21 seconds to go in the ballgame.
And they told me this guard from L.A. was coming in, Raymond Lewis, that had a name of himself of a street legend. Well, I'm going to tell you, Raymond Lewis was outstanding. This guy put on a show when he came to our training camp. And he was a guy that should have been playing for the Utah Stars.
He was on the bench, about to step on the court, about to play. Got a call from, commissioner's office, somebody called, and they said, Raymond, still in the bench, you can't play, man. You still, the contract that you signed with Philly is still in effect.
He's suited up, ready to step on the floor. The lawyers step in and say, if he steps on the floor, we're gonna sue you blind.
And the next thing I know, he was gone. No explanation.
Well, we had his rights. He had not been waived. He just left camp in 73. And that means that we retained his rights. And the last thing you want to do is have this guy floating around out there and land on some team and become a star. Well, if he's going to become a terrific player, let it be in Philadelphia. And we let the world know that Raymond belonged to us. He was our property.
It's not right. They did the young man wrong by controlling him and not being able for him to earn a living somewhere else and take care of his family.
And Gene Shue, the 76ers, that whole era, the boy club back then, you signed the contract, either you play my way or we won't let you in and play at all. And that's what happened to Raymond.
If Ray Lewis had a good attorney, he could have sued, because there's no way in the world you could stop a person from earning a living.
So that was a setback for him, because he was excited about being able to get on the court and play, professionally.
I said, it's just another stone you got to step over. Just another stone.
Now, I do know, going into the third year, he did return. He returned again. He went to camp. I believe Daryl Dawkins was, they had just drafted Daryl Dawkins. In fact, he roomed with Daryl Dawkins.
I was now in my second year with the Sixers, still very intrigued about Raymond and what could we, how do we get him to camp? Well, I was able to convince them to come to camp, and Raymond came. I remember picking him up. The thing that most impressed me was that he had a Bible in his hand. As he came off the plane, I said, maybe the Lord's gotten a hold of Raymond here.
Unfortunately, Raymond had an obstacle. First off, they had Jelly Bean Bryant. They had World Be Free. They had Cornel Norman, Daryl Dawkins. So it was a situation where they had a lot of guards besides the starting two guards, Doug Collins and Fred Carter. They had 12 guaranteed contracts. When you have guaranteed contracts, you just have no opportunity to fit in.
I don't even, remember, whether after the first year, whether he was given any chance at all to come back.
I don't remember whether it was the first day or the second day or somewhere early. I walked into the gym and Raymond is walking out. I guess he'd practiced a day or two. I don't remember. Raymond is walking out with his bags. He said, I'm leaving. I said, Raymond, you just got here. He wanted to go back to L.A. Something had upset him. I don't know who had said something to him or what had happened, but he said, I'm leaving. And we got him to the plane. I guess the Bible was still with him. And he went back to L.A. That's the last time I saw him.
Do I think Raymond Lewis was blackballed from the NBA? Yes. I do think that the NBA turned their back on him.
The worst thing that can happen to a black athlete is to be labeled a troublemaker or a malcontent. And Raymond got that label put on him as a malcontent.
He became a tool for the league to say, okay, you want to speak out? You want to cause a problem? You want to become controversial? You want to forget your place? This is what happens to you. And you know what kind of a basketball player he is. He set the standard.
No, I know Raymond offended some people. Raymond was really considered arrogant by some people because Raymond knew he was good.
I think Raymond's attitude was like, why do I have to change? Don't they get it? If you just let me play, what's going to happen? Every time I step on the floor, I destroy people. And people say Raymond was ahead of his time, and I agree with that because people put up with a lot more nonsense nowadays with a lot of pro athletes than they would have with Raymond Lewis.
But when I saw him, which was less and less as time went on, we talked about, told him I saw this in the paper and what's going next. He'd tell me who's looking at him, that kind of thing. I'm not sure he knew what was next.
Still here, just like I remember. So this is the duplex in Long Beach that I grew up at. Nothing changed. It was my mom, my dad, eventually my brother Rashad. It was a typical family. He didn't let us eat candy. He wasn't into sugar. We couldn't have sodas. He was a typical strict dad. You know, we couldn't go off the block at all. He loved animals, so we had a bunch of different type of animals living here. He was the typical dad. I think my dad's mentality was that he was gonna get back into the NBA. I don't think he ever lost sight of that, never lost hope. He got up every day, he jump roped every day, he worked out every day, he ran every day, he ate right. So I think he always knew that the second opportunity was coming.
He kept everybody hanging on like, I'm gonna make it. So you feel like, good as he is, he gonna make it. So that kept you hanging around more. And these agents believed it, but they knew he wasn't gonna get back in, but they was giving him money. You know, you wanna be my agent? Give me 20,000. Wanna be my agent? Just to keep him going through life. He get 20 from this agent, he get 15 from this agent, he get 30, you know, that's how he maneuvered for like 10 years.
In 1978, Sports Illustrated sent one of their top reporters, a guy named Barry McDermott, and he did this exhaustive piece on Raymond.
Raymond came to me and said, George, he said, baby George, I got this SI shoot coming up. And I said, you know, okay, Raymond, he said, I want you to help me get back in shape. Bring your daughter, Camila. He brought her to my mother's house. And then we would go to Long Beach and we would run from pier to pier every day. And that's like 2.5 miles. We would sprint. I'll follow him, he'll follow me, and then we would leave from there, and then we go to Gardenia and we play basketball. So we played it every single day.
We played against Raymond that period of time during the summertime to prepare him for another shot at the NBA. So that was when we really played quite a bit of one-on-one full court. So he was ready.
Every day, man, he was like, man, baby George, I'm getting back. I'm getting back in the league. And he felt he was. He felt he had a legitimate shot.
Raymond ended up in the New York Knicks camp with Coach Willis Reed. How about that? And apparently they were loaded with guards, so Raymond leaves the Knicks camp. And Gene Shue, who had been his very first quote-unquote coach in Philadelphia, Gene is now with the Clippers in San Diego, and he brings Raymond to camp.
Gene Shue said, I'll give you another shot.
And so I welcomed him, you know, with open arms and hoping, you know, that he would play well enough to be in the league.
You could tell by the news footage that it really was a competitive camp.
You know, by all accounts, he had a really good camp. He played outstanding. He played good. Freeman was in camp. Freeman said he had a good camp.
And Raymond goes out, and the way I understood it, world scoring, Freeman is scoring. Freeman's from LA now. Freeman's scoring. All those guys are getting the oohs and ahs, and Raymond's just playing boring old point guard based on how he put it.
Raymond said he played well, and he thought that he would get a legitimate shot to play, but they didn't let him play.
And finally, he said enough of that, so he starts scoring. And once that happened, he became expendable because those other guys were doing the scoring.
I was hoping in my heart that he would show enough that he would stay with the team, but it just didn't work that way.
I'm not saying Gene Shue didn't believe that. I'm saying the Gene Shues of the world are full of shit. Because if you're talking about ability, then we've all watched ability overcome anything. They never gave Raymond Lewis the benefit.
You can sugarcoat all you want, man. You can allow a person to try for all you want, but at the end of the day, if the fix is already in, the fix is already in.
I thought it was a predetermined plan by the NBA not to let him play.
Raymond definitely felt that he was blackballed. He said, "Hey man, when you blackballed, you're blackballed."
At that point, there's a clock going. You got so much time to get this stuff off of you and get yourself out there on the floor, and that window was closing. And in the meantime, he was still playing summer pro leagues, killing everybody. Every summer league came, he kept going out there showing that he's on that upper echelon level because NBA dudes can't go out there and stop him.
The hype was getting bigger and bigger because Raymond was playing, balling, and this one particular game, Coop was going to be there, Michael Cooper. Coop was supposed to be there and they were supposed to shut him down. So everybody was talking about, all over conference was all talking about. So everybody was, the stand was packed.
And that particular game, players of our caliber were coming up and trying to steal his thunder. Well, now it was trying to come back and trying to uphold his rightful throne in a sense. And that's when things really kind of caught fire then, because everybody now is trying to take over what Raymond Lewis had for so long.
If I could have, I would have knocked on Cooper's door and said, "Don't show up today. It's not gonna be good for you."
I remember playing in the game and Raymond had the ball. The first time he got it, he tried to go up on Michael Cooper and Michael blocked it from down low. And Raymond kind of fell and complained to the official, like, "Hey, he's on my arm, he's on my arm," and we're going down and laying it up. So right away, those that thought that Raymond could be contained by Michael Cooper started talking trash in the stand. "I told you, you can't do nothing with Michael Cooper, not a legit NBA player." Remember, Raymond kind of got away in transition and hit a jumper. And then he got a breakaway layup. And then somehow there was a switch and Raymond got another shot. It was his third in a row. And I heard someone in the stands as I'm on the court playing saying, just like this, "There you go, there you go." He hit another one, and now they passed the ball up the floor to him, and he took the ball and had it on his hip, and he told everybody, "Clear out." At that point, everyone in the gym stood up.
And back then, we as ball players, we always, I don't know why we did, but we would get our hands like that, and we'd take our hands and hit the ground and say, "We ready, come on, bring it." And Coop did that. He did it.
And Raymond did something to where I still can't tell you what he did. He just did something. And the next thing I know, Coop was flying by him. Raymond looked at him, knocked it down. People start running out the gym. "Oh, I told you."
Raymond lit him up, at least 40, by halftime.
Raymond gave our team, and I'm going to say our team because it wasn't all on me, he gave us 67 that game. It was a little disheartening because, again, my forte at that particular time and the way that I was able to make my path to the Lakers was being a good defensive player individually. So I took a little bit of heat, but not too much because, again, people knew that this guy was doing that on everyone.
He got invited to training camp with the Spurs, San Antonio Spurs. Iceman was playing. And a guy named Johnny Moore, who was really good basketball player. That was the backcourt at that point with the Spurs, and they invited Raymond.
He's still thinking he gonna get back in the NBA after 8, 9, 10 years. He's 30. Now he's thinking he's still gonna get back in. You never played a game. You still killing everybody.
And I remember after we worked out all summer, I remember us parting ways. I was going to camp, he was going to camp. So now the exhibition games are here. It's time to actually play in games. And I'm constantly wondering, what is Raymond doing? How is he doing? Is he gonna make it? What's going on? So we're playing in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm with the Warriors exhibition game. And I think I was going to McDonald's 8 o'clock at night or something. So they let me use a car. So I'm going out and I'm just going on the radio, flipping through the channels a little bit, and I hear this cheering, crowd cheering. So right away, who's playing? Game. And this is what I hear. That's the 3rd consecutive jumper by this rookie, Raymond Lewis. Even though he's 30 years old, he'd never played in the league, so he's considered a rookie. This kid is phenomenal. And I almost pulled the car over. I was so excited, like, that's what I'm talking about. There you go. It just sounded like he was in the mix.
That hit him hard, as he, reached the age of 29, 30 and saw where it was, fading away, his life dream of playing professional basketball.
We moved to Watts and things changed. And so that's when I saw a definite shift. I think it was kind of like we couldn't afford to stay here anymore. So we were going out to Watts, and this family, of course, it was his grandfather that owned where we were going. I didn't really think too much different of it, but I think my father knew, wow, this is a shift. I'm going back to Watts. And at the time, I didn't really realize it, but he never was the same after that.
This headline this week past signaled the conclusion of a 6-year legal battle by 7 former basketball players who had charged that they were fraudulently misled when they were recruited by Cal State L.A.
There's no question that it will have a tremendous impact on every major university with a major athletic program. I think coaches and athletic administrators will think twice before they load up a student-athlete's course cards with a bunch of meaningless courses.
And I asked Raymond every time I would come back, you need to join this lawsuit. You are the one that got burned the most. You have not played 1 minute in the NBA, and Bob Miller is sitting here telling you everything is going to be all right. I'm suing the man. I'm suing the school, the athletic director, the coaches, the president, fired, all of them behind this. Raymond, you need to be on here. This doesn't need to be Eccles versus Cal State. It should be Lewis versus Cal State. He was the one that got damaged most behind everybody. Unfortunately, Bob is all right. No, Bob is not. Speaking of Bob Miller, I said, Bob is screwing you, man. And he has screwed you.
Raymond had a broken heart. Can you imagine? You see all these ball players that making hundreds of millions of dollars. Not being able to play really, really affected him. And not being able to do something that you were gifted to do. And Raymond was gifted to do that. He had other gifts and talents too, but that was one special gift that God gave him that he wanted to share with the world.
Slowly but surely, he, fell into what I say a severe depression. and didn't know how to fight his way out of it. So eventually me and my brother moved up north and stayed permanently with our grandparents on our mother's side. I think my mother stayed a couple of more years and couldn't take it anymore, and she left too and moved up north. And so with all of us gone, he just got worse and worse.
The last time I saw Raymond, I saw him in the stands at a game over at Crenshaw. And Raymond being a little bit older then, a little worn down a little bit, a little discontent with the game. I think he had been through so much at that point in time of his life is that it just wasn't fair. So I think the joy and the lustfulness of the basketball had kind of left him because, again, the early Raymond always had a sparkle in his eye when he came into the gym.
You know, I know he began to ask for money. He wanted to borrow money from different people. And I think by then he was, you know, he had a drug habit was going and he just wasn't headed the right way.
He always wanted a couple of bucks. He wasn't working. He had spent most of his money. He wanted help in one way or another. He was always looking for something.
I remember when it was starting to go downhill, and we were living in Santa Monica, California, and he found us. And they came into our home, and he wasn't doing well.
There was times that I couldn't reach him, and so if I couldn't reach him, I would take the 400-mile ride to just see him and make sure he was okay.
I can't remember where I was, but I knew that people had told me that he was sick, that he was having trouble with his leg.
He had a sore on his leg that wouldn't heal. And so I heard Raymond refused to go to the doctor, and it became so bad, and it was hurting him. And he had to go, and when he went to the doctor, they're like, we got to amputate. So Raymond's like, I can't play ball, man. I mean, basketball being his life.
And before he went into surgery, he told me, I can't shoot a jump shot with one leg. And I was like, oh, you're gonna get the leg, we're gonna get you a prosthesis, you're Raymond Lewis, they're gonna do whatever they have to do. Don't worry about it. You're gonna be able to shoot a jump shot. It's all modern technology. He didn't wanna hear any of that. But he did it, and after that, he never recovered.
I had a friend of mine call me and tell me that Raymond passed away. I said, no, man, I just seen him. He all right, He says, you got today's paper? And so I went outside and picked it up and looked at it, and it was Raymond Lewis dies.
Here's a guy that loved basketball so much that if he thought he couldn't shoot around again, he couldn't go out on the playground and just play a one-on-one game with someone, whether he was out of shape or not, that he just didn't want to live.
I loved him. I felt bad for him. I kind of cried that night when I heard about it. But it was a bad thing. It was a bad thing.
Off to Lewis. Lewis, 18-footer, bullseye.
Every player that's ever played in Raymond, stand up.
There's those of us who still live today. It's a whole bunch of guys who still love him. And we cared about him as a person, despite what didn't happen. If he was here today, we'd all be seeing him on a regular basis, coming around him, sitting around talking about our good old days. You got what I mean?
Growing up, I was mad at Raymond because I felt like we didn't have to live, we could have been living better. I didn't understand the stance that he took. I didn't understand any of that. I was young, so I was mad until I got to an age and I can understand the stance that he took was epic. And he's the reason that a lot of people get paid what they get paid now.
I believe that the players today owe a debt of gratitude to Raymond Lewis because he was one of the first to try the system. I believe if they knew the Raymond Lewis story, then they certainly would have a great appreciation for what he sacrificed.
I think that Raymond Lewis should be put in the same category as all of those athletes who tested the boundaries. He should be remembered as an important part of the history of that era. He insisted on dignity and respect. He paid the ultimate price. He died forgotten. But that doesn't mean that his contribution is not indelible.
Isn't it interesting that Sonny Vaccaro can sit here and tell you about Raymond Lewis, and he never played anything or did anything or signed any shoe contract? Raymond Lewis never had the benefit of that. So why would he stay in my mind? Because he, to me, epitomized what this game is about. He loved to play basketball.
Ray Lewis, exceptional first quarter, 8 points.
I don't feel there's ever anybody as good as him.
Hey, Dad. Still keeping your legacy alive. Shooting paradise, baby.
You know, I've sat up at home and thought. You know, nothing comes up. Other than that, hey, when it's over, when I'm through thinking about it, it's always like, maybe this is what God wanted me to do. I'm not gonna ever lose my faith no matter what happened to me. I'm not ever gonna lose my faith.
Raymond Lewis, 7-6-footer, it clicks.
I'm driving, Mark Gottfried is on the passenger side, and Raymond's in the back seat. You gotta have this visual, okay? So I say, hey Raymond, if you and I play one-on-one 100 times, how many would I win? He says, you? Me and you? Oh, okay, I'll give it to you. 100 games? He said, you might win 2. You know, that's what he said, right? So we start laughing, and he starts laughing. So then I said, well, what if you played against Isaiah Thomas? He said, I'd get him. He said, he's too short. I just raise up over him. He couldn't stop my jumper. So I said, one more time to Mark, because I'm going somewhere with this, see. I said, what about Magic? What What if he played against Magic? Oh, Magic is too slow. I'll get him coming up and just drive around him. He couldn't. And then once he starts backing off, now you know what time it is. That's how he said it. He said, I just hit jumper after jumper. He couldn't do it with anything with me. One more time, I tapped Mark. I had him right where I wanted him. I said, what about Michael Jordan? He said, oh, well, Mike's too tall. He stopped and he quit joking. He said, can you set that up? He says, I'm older now. He says, I'm 35, 36. I can't predict what I'm going to do anymore. But in all seriousness, if you can set that up, I'll get my little sparring partners. That's what he said. I'll get my jump rope back out. You give me 6 months and let's see what happens.